Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Aries, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the last 2 weeks of August. I hope you well. I'm using the Pagan Otherworlds Tarot for you today. If you haven't seen these videos before, I structure them slightly differently to the main monthly readings in so much as we are looking for the lesson. I believe that there is a lesson, or if you will, wisdom contained within every interaction and experience that we have. And sometimes we just lose sight of that. So this is an exercise in perspective, because sometimes the energy that we're in can be quite challenging, and it's easier to navigate it if we can see why we're there in the first place. So to that end, what I'm going to do is pull 3 cards for your current energy and see where you are right now. And I'm very interested to see where you are right now, because frankly I feel odd since I started the pre-meditation before doing your reading. I've been feeling very odd indeed. And then we will pull 3 cards to see why you are there in the first place. Now, it might be trying to teach you something about yourself. It might be trying to dislodge something that needs to leave. You know, we won't know until the cards hit the table. And then we'll close out with 3 cards of advice. So that's the plan. Before we go any further, it's been brought to my attention that there is somebody pretending to be me, at least one person pretending to be me on Instagram at the moment. They've stolen a load of my photos, set themselves up as a profile, blocked me, and excuse me, then have been following people and sliding into their DMs and offering them readings. This is not me. That is not the way that I work, and it is not the way I have ever worked. I will never contact you and tell you that I have a message for you from the universe. It just won't happen. In the first instance, I am not doing personal readings at the moment. My energy levels are far too low to support that. When I do start doing them, I will let you know on here. I will let you know on Patreon. I will almost certainly put up some sort of notice about it on Instagram, but the only accounts that I run are listed here in the description box down below. So if you are in any doubt whatsoever, just go to that first. But when I do open up for readings again, whenever that may be, it'll all be done through the Acuity scheduler, right? I'm very hands-off with that because it's another thing that's just adds to my workload, and I don't solicit for readings. So if you've been contacted by that, I'm really, really sorry. It seems to be absolutely virulent through the tarot community at the moment. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with some people. But please, you know, I would hate for anyone to be parted with their money thinking that they were getting a reading from me when they're not. So with all of that grubby business out of the way, let's have a look and see where you are at the moment, Aries. Could I have 3 cards for Aries' current energy, please? I've got the Tower. I have the 3 of Pentacles. And the Queen of Wands in reverse. Yeah, Aries, whew. Like, you know when you see with stage hypnotists, say like Darren Brown, and you know he's doing his thing up on stage and he has a group of people and he goes over and he goes sleep and they just drop down like that. Like literally that was exactly what happened when I started like trying to tune into your energy. I just like my head physically dropped and everything went very, very black indeed, very, very dark. And I was like, oh, okay, what's all this about? It felt consuming, entirely consuming, and I only had like I had actually a couple of things. One was really weird. It was like a brain that just kind of floated off, and I was like, dude, that's really, really, really weird. And then there was a frog leaping around as well. Now, frogs are associated with spiritual development, right? Taking a big leap up. But with everything else that was going on, and my brain did feel like it was trying to float away. Like I just felt confused. I felt really unsure as to what was going on at all, you know, and this felt to me like it was your energy here.
It feels to me like you are in feeling pretty disempowered at the moment. You may or may not have had some sort of tower moment that's occurred. And often those are associated with job losses, sudden events that just seem to come out of nowhere, that there was no kind of preamble to, and it's just suddenly the tower's hit. But the interesting thing is, here in this one, although we do have the lightning strike, it's only chipped off a corner of the tower. One's eye is drawn more to this woman who is falling. And the way that I was feeling, it did feel a little bit like I was falling into something. And are you at this moment engaged in the longest, slowest free fall that you've ever experienced in your life? Because that's what it felt like to me. There was no like rushing up of the ground to hit me or anything like that. It was just falling. And this card here, which is your card, Aries, should be up like this. It should be bold, it should be assertive, it should be confident, it should be full of self-esteem. She's showing up in the reverse here. She is none of these things. That is a state of absolute disempowerment. There, right? She should be sat here with her sunflowers going, yes, I am a boss-ass bitch. I am fucking literally bossing everything. That's not how you're feeling at the moment, Aries. The interesting thing is that we've got this Three of Pentacles in the middle. Now, the Three of Pentacles is associated with cooperation, collaboration, teamwork, working with other people to build something that will last. And it's sat here betwixt the Tower and the Queen of Wands. Tell me about this Three of Pentacles, please. Thank you. We've got the Two of Wands and we've got the Fool. And the Sun with the Moon at the bottom of the deck. There's something quite transformative going on for you at the moment, Aries. The thing is, I think you can't see it. I think it just feels like a long, slow free fall into nothingness. And the weird thing is, all of the indicators are that where you will be when you finally hit the ground is actually somewhere far, far better than the top of the tower where you thought you were safe. I've spoken at length actually about this feeling that some of the other signs have had. We've had Gemini, we've had Aquarius. Aquarius, Leo and Scorpio feeling this very, very strongly, but like a complete disengagement with the 3D is what's going around them. And it's hit Gemini a little too. And now it seems to have made its way over to you. It's almost like you just don't know what's going on anymore, Aries. And more than that, you've given up trying to understand. Now, I don't think that is necessarily a bad thing, because we do have this Fool here, and that is Aries energy, and it is in the upright as well. You are being asked to trust this process, as difficult as it may feel at this point. You're being asked to trust it, because I feel with this, it's quite interesting. We're looking at this Two of Wands here, and this Tower card. It's like something about your previous perspective has been slightly off. And I don't know how it was off exactly, but the view that you had from the position that you were in didn't give you all of the information. Perhaps you were relying on people to bring you, the details of that which you could perceive from afar. But there's a shaking out happening here, Aries, and I'm not sure if it's of the people around you or what. Because as I'm looking at this woman on the tower, I actually feel like this woman's been shoved off. I don't feel like she's fallen off. I don't think that she actually leant too far over the tower there. It feels like somebody came up behind you and shoved you. Well, even in front of you. I mean, look, she's falling backwards. It looks like she's been
shoved really, really hard. And that would absolutely fall in line with that kind of tower energy that we expect to see. Now, whether it was someone or whether it's the universe who's just literally booted you off the top of a tower, I'm not sure. But the tower is always a course correction. So whilst you feel like you're in free fall at the moment, whilst you have no idea which way is up and which way is down and how long you've got before you hit the floor, it seems to me that the indications are here when you do hit the floor, you're going to be in a much better place than you thought you were. This is followed up by the Ace of Pentacles here, which we have literally at the bottom of the deck. There is something new. There is a new opportunity that is presenting for you that was so much better than where you were. And honestly, you're kind of being asked to just accept at the moment. There's almost a enjoy the ride kind of feel like this, but given the energy that I felt right at the beginning of the reading, I can't see how you could possibly enjoy that feeling. But we have the Sun and the Moon. Now, that's an extremely positive card. That's a really, really positive card. And notice that he's, walking on his own feet off under the sunlight, right? He's not falling. He's not on top of a tower. He is in connection with the ground. And then we have the Moon. Now, if this is the subconscious, as I see it, then this is the conscious. And this looks like there's something coming into alignment here. Right? There are lots of things being shaken out of your life at the moment, Aries, for whatever reason. But where you will end up on the other side of this process is an order of magnitude better than where you were. Now, this is entirely out of your control, so it seems to me. And what you're being asked to do is relinquish any sense of needing to control this. And this is important. This is why the Queen of Wands is showing up in the reverse here. Because if she, like the Fool, had perfect trust in the process, she wouldn't be upside down right now. She'd be like, yeah, everything's going the way that it's supposed to go. It's all good. What this is saying to me here is that there's some aspect of this that you are still trying to control actively. And in the absence of being able to affect any kind of change, it's leaving you disempowered, where it's actually taking you somewhere really rather beautiful. Tell me about this Queen of Wands and reverse, please. We've got the Justice card and we've got the Two of Cups. We've got the Seven of Cups at the bottom of the deck there, and that's energetically has been making itself felt very strongly to me since the start of this reading. But we also do have the Ten of Swords and the Emperor card there, which is you again. Whether you feel like it or not, Aries, your energy is stamped all over this reading. You are not nearly as disempowered as you currently feel like you are. It's just that there is something really rather big going on with you at the moment. Now, I know over the course of the last few months, like the energy that I've been picking up from you is sheer exhaustion. You're so fucking done with so many fucking things, and yet it feels like there's nothing in sight that is bringing this energy here and this energy here to any sort of completion, such that you could then leave it behind and go and do something that frankly would be a bit more fucking interesting and a little bit more fulfilling, But there are some really big forces at play here. We've got the Tower card and we've got the Justice card. We've got the Fool card. We've got you loitering around in the background there underneath all of this. Where you possibly can find it in yourself to do this, Aries, you do seem to be being asked to just release, just let go, be as the Fool in this situation, which is not just walking off a ledge and trusting that everything is going to be okay, although that is part of it. It's sitting in perfect trust of yourself. What's that quote about being strong enough to change the things that you can? I always forget what it's called. And the grace to accept that which you can't. And I don't know, the discernment to be able to pick between the two of them, right? I've totally murdered that. But there are shades of it here. It's almost like you don't realize how powerful you are. You don't realize how powerful this process that you're undergoing at the moment really is, because you can't see beyond the, well, what feels like endless inky blackness that's around you at the moment. But there are things that you're still trying to control. There are things that you're still trying to hold on to. And that is actually protracting this process for you, because the new things are here. They're all over here. You know, I've just noticed that we've got an extra card in this deck. It's the Seeker. It's somebody pushing their head out of 3D reality and out into the inky blackness of space. That's where you are right now, Aries. There's a huge transformation going on for you. There's a considerable amount of information that is making its way to you, but it's almost like you're being asked to be patient and wait, right? Your body's in the 3D, but from here on up, you're just out here in inky space with the moon. Maybe the moon is where you need to look for your information, the moon being your subconscious, what's going on underneath. But in order for new things to come in, you have to make space. Right? That's the Ten of Swords again there. Different decks, same card. We have endings. We have difficult, challenging endings. We have the knowledge coming through. And then we have a new start. No matter how awful things are feeling at the moment, Aries, something very beautiful is headed your way. Once you are ready to receive it, and I think that this is possibly the issue at the moment, that you are not ready to receive it, and that's why it just feels like endless freefall. Tell me why Aries is here, please. We have Judgment. We have the Nine of Pentacles. And we have the Five of Cups. Well, Aries. I mean, my eye's been drawn first to the Five of Cups, and so let's deal with that first, right? The Five of Cups is grief, is loss, is being stuck in an energy of not knowing that you still have two cups upright. Right? And interestingly enough, I'm drawn back to this Queen of Wands in reverse, right, which is clarified by Justice and the Two of Cups. There are still cups in the upright, and the cups that have spilled over, there is nothing that you can do about it. There's literally nothing that you can do about it. But there's enough energy here to show me that where you are going next, those three cups wouldn't have been useful to you. Not at all, right? There's a different plan for you, and you are being diverted towards that different plan. But half of this feels like it's an act of acknowledgement by you that is required by this, like an acknowledgement of your grief, an acknowledgement of your loss, an acknowledgement of emotions that have sat and been relatively barren for you, because that's the other thing that I'm seeing here in this card. Obviously with Cups cards, there's endless amount of water usually depicted somewhere, but what we've got is it's to be a dry riverbed and just a skull sat on it. Yeah, everything looks parched there. And tying this in with how exhausted you have felt, how completely and utterly depleted you have been of late. It's like the riverbed of your emotions has dried up, and now it's maybe for you to pick over the bones of what you can find in the silt, right? As it's drying out in the sun, you're like, okay, well, there are things to find in here. Maybe go digging, maybe, use a bit of that kind of moon energy stuff to go and have a look and see what's going on. Maybe the Lionsgate portal and the new moon in Leo have absolutely just, maybe that was the last straw for you. That's entirely possible. But the thing is, again, there's so much hope here. We've got the Nine of Pentacles, and the Nine of Pentacles is always about the individual.
in the first instance, right? It is about being self-sufficient. It is about being independent. Those things that you hold to be extremely important, right? They're a fundamental part of fire sign kind of physiology anyway, right? We're just like, fuck you, we'll do it ourselves. Thank you. Because of, you know, whatever reason, I know it'll get done then. It'll be done properly, you know, blah, 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 blah. And often all of that is just actually a fucking mask for the fact that we have been fucking abandoned and rejected and kicked over more times than we care to fucking admit, right? It's a trauma response when the only thing that you can default to is yourself. Or when in the past, the only person that you could default to was yourself because there was abandonment there. Often we don't notice in later life that there are more cups sticking around. There are people who would help replenish the riverbed, you know? The Nine of Pentacles is also for me about good energetic resource management. Where are you fighting battles that you don't need to, Aries? Where are you trying to control things that you really just need to let go? And that you know, there could be anything. That could be people, that could be situations, that could be it could be a fear to trust what is coming next, right? Because fear always ends up in some way expressing itself as control. It feels like you're being rebuilt up from the ground up, if I'm honest, Aries. And that is never a comfortable process. Never. Just isn't. But we've got this Judgment card here too. You know, and it's always got a fairly apocalyptic theme to it. You know, we've got angels with fucking trumpets and, you know, was it one of the... Oh, there was something vaguely biblical that just scampered across my brain there. Something to do with 6 trumpet calls or something. Anyway, signifying the end of days and whatnot. And it can talk about the past. It can talk about a literal resurrection of past situations, right? And that doesn't have to be, you know, you find yourself in exactly the situation that you were in 20, 30, 40 years ago. It doesn't have to be that. Sometimes it can be the memory of that. Sometimes it can be being in an entirely different situation and being triggered really, really hard by it. And you're not reacting to the thing that's right in front of you. You're reacting to something that happened 30, 40, 50 years ago, you know? But it's about being able to marshal your energetic resources such that when that sort of thing happens, you can go, oh, hang on, I'm not actually reacting to this. Let me sit with what I am reacting to, and then kind of pull something up from your past and go, really? Wow. Okay. You know? But honestly, as I'm sat here, Aries, it feels like you have really judged yourself very harshly. That's what this is talking about. And if anything, that kind of, I should feel quite emotional, fuck. That level of judgment that you have cast against yourself is likely the thing that is keeping you in this inky blackness, this free fall. And I feel like you've torn yourself to pieces. And do you know what, Aries? You don't need any of these cards. That's the point. You don't need to do this. The only thing that you need is the Ace of Cups for yourself. To be compassionate to yourself, to treat yourself the way that you have always hoped that you treated other people. Now, I feel like a lot of you have been very let down And it feels like it's the straw that broke the camel's back. That, with the lack of energy, you know. It's like making peace with yourself, accepting yourself, and then by extension, the situation that you find yourself in, the inky black freefall. Trusting that there is a plan for you, trusting that you are not just sent here to be miserable and to suffer, is the thing that will allow you to start pulling the pentacles back into you and putting your energy, as small as it is at the moment, into you, into rebuilding you and nurturing you, rebuilding from the ground up. This is a very difficult process. I don't envy it at all, because I've been here and I know what it's like. But I can also tell you that what is on the other side is always better. Not only from, you know, being in an inky black freefall, because obviously that's a pretty low bar to hit for things to be better, but better than they were before. Much, much better. I mean, some cards of advice, please, for Aries. We have the Four of Swords and the Six of Swords. We have the Chariot. And we have the Wheel of Fortune. Yeah, I mean, this is what it is, Aries. It's right here. The Four of Swords for me is a card of stepping back. It's a card of contemplation and reflection. It's my meditation card, you know. It's a card of sitting quietly at peace and allowing things to come up to be processed, right? It follows on from the Three of Swords, and for very good reason. The Three of Swords is that visceral heartbreak. The Four of Swords is where we kind of withdraw, whether actually, you know, withdraw from our friendship groups or whatever, or whether we kind of withdraw emotionally. We kind of pull things back to ourselves a little bit so that we can lick our wounds and process what has happened and hopefully, you know, learn a lesson and move on. Like, this is your advice right here, Aries, is spend that time in contemplation, right? Rather than seeking to control anything outside of yourself, be it people or circumstances or even the way that you allow your emotions to surface, right? All of your emotions are valid and they're pointing you at something which I feel you're almost resolutely refusing to look at. But if you just took 1/10 of the amount of energy that you are putting into kicking the shit out of yourself at the moment and made it soft, made it gentle, and watered yourself with it and go, do you know what? We all make mistakes, and we fucking do, Aries. We all make mistakes. Some small, some really, really big. But it's what we take from that that is important. It's what we learn from it that is important. You were not sent here to be perfect. You were sent here to be you, you know? There's a lot that needs to be left behind, Aries. And honestly, I think this longest, slowest free fall into inky blackness will continue until you start releasing the things that are actually, I don't know, pulling you down, I guess. And you've got concrete boots on your feet or something. Get them off. Get them off and give yourself an opportunity to move into a quieter, more peaceful place. Chariot. Card of determination. The card of the self. Like, this whole reading is about your relationship with yourself, Aries. It's got off track. Everything's become very unbalanced and very unaligned, and piece by piece, gently, you need to start pulling everything back straight where it needs to go. What do you want? Like, how can you forgive yourself? How can you be more compassionate to yourself? How can you pull away enough from the pain that you can turn around and look at this objectively and see what it is that you have been missing all of this time, right? About your situation, about your relationship with yourself. Where can you objectively observe it and turn this into wisdom, turn this into, you know, something useful, something that benefits you. Because the final card that you got is the Wheel of Fortune. Oh, people slamming doors all over my house. The Wheel of Fortune is a card that whispers to us that things are going to get better, fortunes will improve, but first you must learn something. It is always a teaching moment for me, and you are balls deep in a teaching moment right now. Now, everything about the way that you have worked up until this point has got you to where you are, Aries. And I think that this inner critic and the way that you castigate yourself has always been a part of your mindset. It's not working out for you. Not well. So how about we try doing it a bit differently? You know? Is that quote that's always attributed to Einstein, and I have no idea whether he actually said it or not. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. What you have been doing, the way that your mind is set up at this point, the way that you try and defend yourself from hurt, sometimes by kicking yourself harder than anybody else could kick you, is not putting you where you want to be. And Aries, it's your inner child that's doing this to you. And so if it helps, externalize that inner child, right? And imagine you walking into a scene where this child is inflicting on themselves what you are doing now. Like, what would your first response be? It wouldn't be, well, you fucking deserved it. There you go. Now you learn. Life's hard. Then you die. Blah, blah. You just wouldn't do that as a compassionate human being. You would gather that child up and say, it's okay. You know, maybe it's child's freaking out because it broke something, you know. I remember my birthday a couple of years ago. I'd finally bought a new TV about 4 months before. I'd saved up for fucking months for this TV because the kids were all complaining that the one that we had, which was like 11 years old, and I don't know how it was still going because it had some incredible abuse of the twins, and even Magdalena actually, because she was 9 months old when I bought it, right? The thing was, it's actually still going. My daughter's got it now in her bedroom. I bought this new TV, and we were all very impressed with the new TV, and it was like, look at the shiny thing, right? And on my birthday a couple of years ago, my youngest daughter, one of the twins, was playing very exuberantly in the living room, and I was stood in the kitchen talking to my eldest son and my eldest daughter, and all of a sudden I heard, oh no, and then she just ran upstairs, and I looked at my son and I went, oh God, because I knew it was something big. And we walked in and there was the most beautiful, and it was beautiful, crack on our new television. It was kind of like a spiral, but it was kind of like a flower as well. I looked at it and I was like, wow, that's really pretty. Shame the TV's absolutely fucked, but it's really pretty. My daughter was hysterical upstairs because she knew that I had saved for ages for this TV, and she had just broken it. What she'd done, she'd yeeted a box one of my birthday presents had been in, and the very corner of the box had just hit the screen and it had just done this thing. And she was absolutely hysterical. And I went upstairs and I got her to come down, and I went, it's okay, it's just stuff. Like, what are you freaking out about? It's just stuff. As long as you are okay. They're like, you being okay is the most important thing here. And she just looked really confused, and she was like, but I broke your TV. And I was like, yeah, I don't care about the TV, I care about you. Right now you are more upset than I've ever seen you in your life, and I don't want you to be like that. Like, it's just stuff, Riv. I would like it if you didn't yeet boxes around in future, because, you know, stuff costs money and stuff, but it doesn't matter. doesn't matter at all. And then she cried with relief. And I'm telling you about this because, Aries, I think there are points in your past where what should have happened was somebody came in and gathered you up and said, doesn't matter, that mistake you made, it doesn't matter, as long as you're okay. And it didn't happen. And so it falls to you now to do it for yourself. Don't beat on that child anymore, Aries. There's your Wheel of Fortune. Right there. You crack this, and the way out will become clearer to you. More than that, the new things that are sitting there waiting with the promise of potential that I see written all over this reading will start being available to you. You will be in a state where you are able to receive them, you know? Anyway, okay. I'm going to leave it there because, like, this is 36 minutes long and this is supposed to be like a 15-minute check-in. But this is important. I know that I love you all very, very much, and I will see you soon.